it's Lynn with Soft Squares, and I have a problem. We're going to fix it. It has to do with this quilt. Today I'm going to show you how to do a square in a square block. And to do that, you could use any fabric you want, any size, but today I'm going to use pre-cuts. I'm going to use a 10 by 10 layer cake and a 5 by 5 charm pack. And I want them to be of the same line, or at least coordinate with each other. This particular quilt, that's exactly what I did. I had one of each of a charm pack and a layer cake of the full line. You could even choose to work with just one pack and cut it down, but the point is you're going to get a lot of squares. I made this quilt. It's a labor of love. It took me over a year to make it. I had it hung up and all the different parts of it I was working on, and it just took forever to find, anyway, to get to this point where it's actually quilted. Now, I thought I was being really smart because I'm small on space, and I put all of my quilts in a curio cupboard just to get them out of the way because I wasn't using it and I needed space, and it just made sense. Keep things nice and clean in a cupboard with glass front doors. However, I didn't think about what could happen if the light were to be turned on, and I never turn the light on. But I have one of those touch lamps where you touch the hinge and it goes on, the three-way bulb, and it only comes on when the power goes off and then comes back on. It goes on at low wattage, and it's the only time it ever goes on, so I still wonder why am I even plugging it in. It's just, I think it's a cool feature. If I want the light, that's how I can get to it. Well, back to my story with the quilts. This was the very top quilt in my stack, and I had stacked it to the top. I'll try to include pictures so you can see what it looks like. Anyway, evidently, this quilt touched the bulb, and I did not know it until I was retaking all of my pictures, and I saw a funny mark on here. And now I'm trying to find it because I had it folded up really pretty. See that? That is a burn mark. Oh, made me so sad. But guess what? There's more to it than this. There are 6 of them. And it goes all the way through, front and back. And one of them even has a hole in it. It was so bad. And my husband just said, he can't believe I didn't burn the house down. Because obviously this was smoldering. Who knows how long or what, when even. We're getting to the worst ones. Oh, look at this one. Yeah. It was how it was folded, and then it just went right down through the pile. Ah, actually that's not the worst yet. Let's keep looking for that one. Anyway, lesson learned. If you use your cabinet that has light in it, make sure the light doesn't turn on, and really don't go close enough to the light that you have a problem where it could be touching it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll find it. This is a queen size quilt, and it just breaks my heart. I'm going to be keeping this one unless someone really likes it, but today I'm going to mend it. I don't know if mend is the right word for it. I'm so puzzled where the hole went. Here we go. This is the hole. Look at that. My finger's inside it. And this is front and back hole. I mean, scary. Very bad. Right there. Oh my goodness, this is a heavy blanket. Okay, so here's my hole. Look at this. It's awful. It burned right through it. And on the back side, because this is the worst hole, this is, can't believe that I didn't catch it on fire and I didn't burn down everything else around it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we're going to look at fabric. I keep all my scraps. Never planned on something like this needing to be scraps for. And once you know it, I can't find any scraps of this, any of this fabric, other than one. And that's because I have incorporated them in other projects thinking, this particular project was done. So let's look at my options, see what I can do, and I'll tell you what I have in mind. This is the worst hole, and I can't really see. Trust me, it's big. So what I've done is I've gone through my scrap bins, and as I had mentioned earlier, I could only find one of the fabrics used on here, and it was this one, which was actually used in my border. And what I'm thinking of doing, because it's brown on both sides and obviously there's a few holes, is do an applique on the front and on the back with my embroidery machine. So once I figure out the fabrics that can be used, then I will figure out the next step and what we're going to do with that. But this is all the wider this is, but this is actually the biggest hole, so this is definitely wide enough to cover that up. And it's a width of fabric, so there's quite a bit. Oh, nope, it's not. It's just a lot of pieces, but there's quite a bit in there. Oh, wow, there is a lot of fabric. So see, there's more. Keep your scraps. Fabric here that will coordinate very nicely. There is green in the quilt. You can see a little bit of it in, here's one of those patches up here, so a hint of green there is not going to be a bad idea. Again, we have this one, and then I found this one. Now I like this one, not only because it's a big piece, and I might be able to make, I have to do 6 patches, but double-sided, so that means 12 patches. This I can keep all consistent with one piece of fabric, and because it's light, it will kind of not be as noticeable as some of the darks. Now this is the back, by the way, and the back, anyway, I'm liking the lighter, but here's another one. There's just a little piece of it, so who knows what I'll end up using, but I'm liking this a lot. It is not the same line. In fact, I don't have the salvage edge to even tell you. Oh, I do. Maybe it's Moda, because that's their color. These fabrics are Moda. Nope, it's Benetrix. It's called Contempo's Kitchen Love Cherry Guidery. Can't tell with the font. I think this will work really well. So I'm kind of excited, thinking I have the fabric figured out, but I do have a couple other options here. I was really hoping I could find the centers of these cornerstones, because this is that square in a square method, the easy no cut one, and then I did cut the middle out, and I can't think of what I would have used them on, although I've made several scrap blankets, so maybe it got incorporated in there. I was hoping I could find those pieces, and didn't happen. And then the backing, I thought I would have extra backing too, and evidently I have used it, because I've gone through all my little organization and cannot find it. And trust me, if I had it, I would have put my hands on it by now. So again, I have a hole, I have to fix it front and back. My plan is to applique something, maybe a flower, because it will go consistent with the theme on here, and use my machine embroidery to do that. I'm going to look for a large applique, and then the tough part is, how do you make the back and the front look good when you're doing that? So I might be doing it in 2 steps. I still have to work my way through that, and we'll figure it out. But you'll get to go on that journey with me. So here we go. Let's go see what's in the pattern book. Alright, so what I've done is I've gone through my Need a Good Design embroidery files, and I'm looking for something that would be an applique, which means you're putting fabric down and stitching around it, which is, you know, like you put a circle down and then you'd stitch around it, but this fabric is what you'd see, and that would be in there. That's what I want to cover my holes with. So I've looked for something kind of cute that might be big enough to cover the hole. This is a nice idea. I wouldn't do all the other stuff behind it, but this butterfly might be cute. The only thing is it is part of a landscape, or anyway, it's missing the top part of its wing. I don't think it would look good standalone. It would look kind of funny without the full thing there. But that's one that I had found that I was interested in or thought might work. Another one that I found are in the paisley family. So here's a nice big one, but I don't know if I want, you know, to use all the same or mix it up, or if I even want paisley at all on this, but that's an idea. Here's another one. Some of these, this would not work because I need it to be big enough to cover that whole brown spot, and this is not going to work. So I'm really limited on what I can use. Now this one might work. It depends on how big it is. I think it's, I have to look at the inches. I'm not real thrilled with that, so I'm not going to spend any time on it. The butterfly would be cute, but there's no way it's going to cover the burn spot. So I'm just looking. I actually like this one a lot. And again, it just depends on if it would fit. The dimensions of it are big enough that it might. So I'm going to keep that as an idea. Now we're on to this one. This one, these are applique, they're kind of like a patch, but it's a big applique heart with some designs in the middle. I like this because it's big, it has the solid fabric and a little bit of design, and incorporates the flowers. And I can use my embroidery threads that match the fabrics and really tie everything in. But these are kind of big. Now you do have the choice of 3 different sizes depending on what you want to do or can do. I'm really leaning towards this more than anything I've seen so far. And here's how they've used it in a block. Of course, I don't need the whole block. I just want the standalone, but I like this one a lot. Another one I have used in the past that I love is this. And this is specifically what I was thinking of when I thought, okay, I'll put something on top and it'll be a flower. This could work. It's a daisy. I've got my quilt underneath me. I don't even know if I have that type of flower anywhere in here. This is more roses. And yeah, they're all roses. And I'll be honest, roses and daisies are not the same family, and I think it would look funny and it would bug me. So I'm going back to, even though that's what I had in mind, this. Even this. Maybe minimizing. Anyway, it's not introducing a drastically different flower. This could work. I think I'm really liking this one the most. So now let's see what we can do with that. Alright, we need to see how big our hole is, or surface that we need to cover. And I think we need to be at least 3.5. 3 is tight, but doable. No smaller than 3. 3 is really cutting it close. So I feel better with 3 to 3.5 on that. And that was the worst one. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be fine. So here's the back. Now the back, it actually kind of shows more how it's radiated out. Yeah, we're 3.5. I don't want to go any smaller than 3.5 just to catch 3.5. It is nothing smaller than that. I can't believe I have a burnt quilt. I'm so sad. Let's keep going. Alright, I've been thinking about this, and I think I need to cut the burn part out. Even though I was thinking I could just stick something on top, I think it's just going to show through and be ugly. God, I can't believe I have this. I'm just going to keep saying that over and over and over because I still can't believe this is my problem. Yeah, it should have burned my house down. I have now unplugged the cabinet. I've learned my lesson. And there's no more quilts in that cabinet. And if I do put quilts in there again, I will not stack them to the top. I was utilizing my space. What I'm thinking is going to happen is I'm going to get my fabric, which will not be this big. Size-wise, it'll probably be closer to this, and be front and back, and then put some batting in there, and then applique it down. and I'm gonna probably do something simple. I like that heart, but I might only do the outline of the heart, not the stuff inside it. And it should be fine because this is small, and that way I don't have to worry so much about the stitches on the back side, because I'm going to try to do the front and the back at the same time. The other option is to do the back first and then put this on top of it and do the front. I hope I don't have to do 2 steps. If I do, I do. So anyway, there's that. But let's go back to this little problem. It is crispy. It is so crispy. I hope none of you have to do this ever. And I hope this is my one and only time with this. I am just beside myself. Now this, I found this burn a couple months ago and I was so shocked. And I just had to put it aside, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just don't know how I'm going to fix it. I instantly thought, well, I could patch it, but easier said than done. So now we're actually trying to do that. I think I might need to take a little more out, because that can still show through. And I'm just going to do one hole. This is the worst one, so if I only do one and that's all I can get through, then at least this one will be done. So we're going to do one at a time and see what happens. And this is a quilt that I will be keeping, even though I had a family member in mind who would be getting this, unless they like what's happening with it. It is no longer a gift. It's definitely a labor of love. I'll be happy to keep it. It's just that was not my intention. I need my little vacuum. Okay, let's see how I've done so far. Let's see if this itty bitty little rotary cutter. Yep. Now I'm thinking I should make it a square, but I don't want to, because then I have to have something bigger and square. Yeah, this is what I should have been doing. Although maybe a bigger rotary blade would have been a little easier, although this little tiny one is good for sharp turns and small spaces, and it's working. Alright, how are we doing? It's still showing the singeing on the back. I probably don't see as much on the front because it being dark. Let's take a little more out. Pretty sure 3.5 is now probably the size of the hole. We need to go bigger for our applique, or we'll remeasure it once I'm done cutting. Alright, I save everything, including scraps of batting. Look at that. It fits. It will kind of fit down in the hole. I think I'm going to put something in the hole. That's going to be fun. How can I do that? Let's draw. I'm kind of making this up as I go. We'll see how it really turns out. Okay, so that's my... See, if I put the batting in and it happens, and it's the size of the hole, it will minimize the noticeable divot and make it so it's still a blanket. I think I need a little more. There. that. It's in. Kinda, sorta. Okay, and so what's going on here is I've got the batting and then I have the fabric. When you do an applique, you go a little bit over it, and I am feeling like, because these are thicker layers, another piece of batting in there with it. Maybe on this one I'll do it. I'll try it. I'm up for anything right now. Let's see, will this one fit? Depending on how I do it. Yep. I guess I'd rather have the applique stick up and be a little on the puffy side, because to me that's what applique does, than to have a hole, because that would just maybe draw attention to the fact that there's something missing instead of adding to it. So I'm going to try that on this first one, not introduce something new. And the back side will get this, because that's the closest to what will be light and not as noticeable on the back. Again, there's 6. It's kind of like strategically like they're intentional because of how they're placed, and it just had to do with how the quilt was folded and how it was singed all the way through everything. I can't think of when that light was even on. That's why I'm the most puzzled. This is stabilizer, and it is leftover pieces. That's a surprise, right? I only need something small. And this is going to help stabilize the embroidery to the, just hold everything together. And it's going to look like that with this on top. And then it'll be applique, or yeah, applique, and then stitch around it. Applique is where you're adding fabric to the embroider. It's not just threads, which I really like applique. And the trick is I have to do this on the top and the bottom. And again, I'm not sure if I'm going to try both at the same time, or the bottom first and then add the top, or vice versa. But that's what I'm using, is this mesh lightweight stabilizer, and it will stay in the blanket. It'll be a permanent part of the blanket. Alright, so I'm going to use my 100 by 100 hoop. I have a pfaff Creative 4.5 that I'm going to be using, and I love these magnetic hoops because I don't have to actually worry about the hoop, and I can use these magnets to hold everything down and get it right where I need to be. But the hoop goes on the bottom. So let's try to get this where it needs to be. Here's all my pieces and parts, and you do want big enough pieces that will cross, or go over the frame, even though personally I don't need that big of a piece right now. Okay, so what I'm doing, I have no idea what I'm doing. That we've already figured out. And right now I kind of don't care what angle the hearts are. I think if they're just kind of random, it'll be even more cute. And so I'm going to put this on the bottom, and then this on it, and then this through the hole. Let's see how I can do this. Okay, so here's my hoop with those 3 things on it. We're going to see if my orientation on that is, or how it looks once I get that over the hole. But I can see that this is going to work with the magnets. Now, to be safe, because it's going to move, I'm going to go ahead and fasten these down, because this big blanket is probably going to shift things anyway. But look how cool that is. I don't have to worry about hooping, especially since I'm dealing with a thick project. Okay, so now we're going to put this on top of it. And as long as I can't see anything underneath or around, we're good. Alright, now my hinge is right here. Need a little more room. Okay, putting that there. Now we know the bottom didn't move because it was fastened. So now I'm going to put this on top and then this fabric on top of it and then move my magnets. We'll see how close we came. It's pretty obvious where the frame is because it's a magnet. Alright, where'd the other one go? Oh. Okay, I can see my fabric is a little angle-y challenged. I just want to make sure that even though it's covered the hole, that top and bottom pieces are relatively in the same place, because I'm going to gauge my pattern and what I have to use based off of what I see on the top. And I want to be as close to that as I can on the bottom. Now, this is a lot of fabric and layers, so I'm going to extra reinforce it. And if I wasn't such a fabric scrimper, I would get fabric that would actually fill the whole hoop and give it a little more stabilizing that way. But we're going to work with this. So I've got fabric on both sides, stabilizer between those, and then the quilt with the hole and 2 layers of batting in there. And we're going to see if we can do 2 at the same time and see what happens. Let's pick out some thread. Now I want thread that will match the blanket, and I think for sure we need a red. And I've got my thread stored in these bins. Let's see if I have a red that might be. That one looks good. It's kind of a blue-red. I like it. Oh, this one might work and not have to be opened. Let's see. Nope, this is too pink. This looks orangey, but very similar to that one. I think this would work. I think this one's the best. I hate opening thread if I don't have to, but you know what? You gotta do sometimes. Okay, and now let's get a couple other colors. I think maybe white might be a good one. I'll grab that from a different place. And then maybe some of the aqua. Now these are a little too blue. Just all together wrong, right? Let's see. What is this? Ooh. That one. What about that one? Actually, maybe. Okay, so we know we don't want these. Our thread has a tendency to get brittle, and this is just one way to protect it and keep it airtight, especially since I live in Utah, which is the desert. So sometimes I have them out, not very often, usually they're tucked away in here. Alright, so I think these colors, let me lay them down so you can see them better, and a satin white. Here's my box of pastels. This is bobbin thread. This is a little too blue. I want to see what I'm doing a little easier. There we go. I think I need it to be a little more on the yellow side. Nope. 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 I think this is just stark white, but that's really what the fabric is. So maybe that is what I need. What is this one? Oh, actually that's what I want, and it's open. It's not as blue. I know, sometimes it's like splitting hairs. So insignificant, but when you look at the finished product, sometimes those differences are noticed if you don't do it right. Okay, I kind of like having the two blues and the red. These are pretty. Okay, so on to the next step. Alright, we're in my machine. There's the design. I changed my mind. I still may change it again. And I did not enjoy the hooping process with this. Kept wanting me to recalibrate, and this is such a big blanket and it's so heavy. I'm having to lift it up because this arm is going to be moving. And this is a lot of weight to have on there, so I'm probably not going to be able to video while it's stitching simply because I'm going to need two hands. And that's just the way that goes. But I wanted to show you what we had going on so far. Let's see if I can get just the first basting stitch going. See, and it got a little messed up when I was hooping it. Alright, we're going to try it. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to help it. Okay, so that was the basting stitch or tacking down stitch, and now the next step is to remove it from the machine and trim back all of this excess. And I did on the back side too, so we're going to see how close I was to covering up the hole and how that's going to look. And then all I'm going to do, well, for sure I'm going to do the satin stitch going around it. And I have white thread in the top and bottom, and I think that is the best way to remedy that. Even though we looked at colors of threads, I think there's too much going on with this, and it would be probably ugly on the back side with the underside, because you don't usually get to see that stitching, and on this blanket you will. So let's see what happens. Okay, this is the back side, and now I'm going to use these special duckbill scissors that will cut the fabric. And because of the angle, I'm not left-handed so I can't do this right now, but because of the angle, it's going to give me a really nice cut up next to that thread. So when I do the satin stitch, you won't even see the edges of this fabric. But let's trim that and see how it looks on both sides. Houston, we have a problem. Look, I did not get over the hole in two places. So I'm going to unpick this. I'm not even going to look at the other side because this is not going to work. I think I need a little bit bigger heart, and then it will cover things just a little better. On to try number 2. I have now cut holes in my quilt. There's 6 of them, and they are a lot bigger than I was first thinking. Let's get a ruler. Let's do this side. We're looking at a minimum 3 by 3, just the hole, and I need to make sure I have extra room around it. And I have decided that I'm going to put batting over top of it instead of just in it, so it will seal that batting down, and it'll be a little puppy there. It'll be cute. So let's give this a try now. Alright, I'm having to go to a bigger hoop, 180 by 130, because I'm making the block or the heart bigger. I went up to 5.3 by 4.9, basically a 5 by 5, where before I was doing a 4 by 3.5. And I just think I need a little more space. So the way I'm doing this now is backing fabric going down first, then my stabilizer, and then my batting. I didn't do that part last time. Then I'm going to attach these with my magnets, and I'm centering it on the hoop. So here's the center mark on my hoop, and if I'm keeping the fabric centered on there, I know that the pattern itself will be centered. That was part of my problem, is I wasn't centered last time. I'm not left-handed. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put more of these down and then lay the big quilt on top of it, lay the exact same stuff on the other side. Just going to make it kind of puffy, I know that. And then basically lay this same little sandwich on top of it, move the magnets to the front, hoop it, stitch it, and I'll show you how that turned out. Alright, this is cute. It's puffy on both sides. This will be a little bit of a trapunto, puffy, cute. And I did not want to do the scalloped edge that this particular design had. However, even though I made it bigger, I still had a teeny tiny bit up near the point of where the heart meets in the middle on the top, where it missed the hole. So I figured this is one way just to make it extra reinforced. And maybe I'll just do this on a couple so it looks like it's intentional. We'll see. But this, so far, I'm very pleased with it, and I do like the puffy. Now, the embroidery pattern, you can't see because the white is not showing up on the screen. And this is it moving around doing the white. But there's a green leafy print on the inside of this. And I may consider leaving the thread white and letting it do that in the middle of this. I don't think I need to, but I'll see what I end up doing. Maybe I'll try it on one. But so far, it's working out well. Update. Okay, this is what it looks like now as it's doing the satin stitch. I've decided to leave it white, but I did the lace around it. I'm pretty happy so far. And I still haven't decided if I'm going to do that center, anything in this center, because it's puffy and kind of cute. But I also kind of wonder if it needs a little reinforcement, although this going around the edge is plenty reinforcement. Okay. Alright, we're done. I decided not to do anything in the middle. We're still good. It shouldn't need to be quilted. It's sealed in there really, really well. And it's not introducing any new fabric. When I'm all done, we'll look at the overall view. But I thought I'd see how this one looked like. Now let's look at the back side. Alright, there's the back. Not as pretty, but by keeping it all white and not changing thread colors at all, it actually, it's very forgiving. So, not bad. Not ideal, but this is actually working out way better than I thought. So now I'm going to do the others, and we'll look at the finished project in a minute.